ZON 144 was recommended for approval by the Metropolitan Development Commission on April the 14th, 2025. District Councilor Dilk called the matter down for a public hearing at the May full council meeting. A preliminary hearing was held by the General Counsel as per council rules. And we now go to Councilor Dilk for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's been brought to my attention that the petitioners and one remonstrator, the HOA, have come to a pre-hearing settlement, and executed copies of the revised commitments have been provided to the General Counsel. As a result, I move to proceed with a vote on proposal number 170, 2025, rezoning case 2024-ZON-144, located at 7500 South Meridian Street Drive, without public hearing.
There's a motion on the floor, and we have a second. Section 151-79 of our council rules are very specific regarding zoning matters that are called down for a public hearing. Even though the remonstrators of record on proposal, get this right, the portion, even though the portion of the remonstrators of record on proposal number 170, 2025, zoning case 2024, ZON 144, have accepted commitments, agreed to forego their formal presentations and a public hearing on this matter, and accept the rezoning with the new commitments made by the petitioner. The proposal was advertised for public hearing at this meeting. It is my understanding that the stated compromise was not to the satisfaction of the other remonstrators. Would someone on behalf of that interest like to explain why a full public hearing should still be held? So I would ask that one of you come forward. And ma'am, please, do you understand that we are working on 2-minute time frames?
Good evening, council members. My name is Jocelyn Mappis, and I am a resident of Perry Township. I'm here today on behalf of the 950 people that have signed an online petition opposing this rezoning, because we believe in the promise of the city, not just to grow, but to grow wisely. Let me say it up front. I understand the urgency around housing. I understand the pressures that you are under, but what I'm asking for you today is this. Let this be the moment that Indianapolis stops settling for good enough and just starts setting a higher bar for sustainable, community-centered development that serves the public good. The parcel at 7500 Sherman Drive contains 61 acres of forest and wetland. And this developer is threatening to permanently destroy one of the last remaining urban forests on the south side. The developer has submitted this plan, and while it looks good in the surface, it actually is not that great, because it is building on top of 2 acres of wetlands. That's about 20 homes that are going to go on top of wetlands. And once you do that, there is no going back. And the developer said it plainly. We are on the business of building homes, not conservation. This is happening because city policy doesn't protect land like this. The burden falls on developers and the sellers, not on the public interest. And we're seeing the costs. Indianapolis has lost over 90% of its wetlands, and we're paying for it in flooded streets, failed drainage. The city is projected to spend over $50 million on stormwater system repairs, a cost directly tied to the decades of developing over floodplains. We all joke about those Indiana potholes, don't we? But they're a direct correlation to building on top of wetlands and the runoff that goes onto the roads, and the public pays. If the council votes no, the state will log the land. That's the threat that we've been hearing. But let's call it what it is, a public pressure tactic, one that does nothing to fix the infrastructure or serve the public. Unlike development, logged land can reforest, as evidenced by the 30 years in satellite imagery. But if we bulldoze and pave these wetlands, that damage is permanent. So I urge the council to vote no.
Thank you. If there's anyone else who wishes to speak on this, please speak solely as to why we should have a public hearing this evening. Thank you.
Mr. President, point of privilege, I think from the audience perspective, they don't understand our process. if we could explain to them so they understand what it is. There are going to be 2 votes. The first vote, as Councilor Dilk has brought, is to whether or not we're going to have a public hearing or not have a public hearing. So what you're speaking to is trying to persuade us to support the public hearing. The second vote will be on this rezone to support the commitments that have been made, which I don't know. Maybe Councilor Dilk can speak to it later, just so you're aware, because I know this can be confusing and intimidating.
And thank you, Chairman Evans.
Thank you. My name is Amanda Nick Stant, and I'm a resident of McFarland Farms. While I agree with everything they have said, I just want to speak about the document that our board has entered into with the other petitioner here. The board has done that in what we feel is illegally. We've already filed paperwork to hold a vote to have that board removed because they are not going with the majority of our neighborhood and what our consensus is. They're specifically going against us. We have about 400 homes in our neighborhood, and we have 325 signatures to have that board removed, and we're waiting on that vote. And so they have signed this document against what the majority of our neighborhood wants and what we're seeking. So we do ask that you recognize the majority, and we're moving to have this document null and void because it was signed when they knew that they are in the process of being removed and they shouldn't be signing legal documents on our behalf. So I just want to make you aware of that situation. There will be a new board in place within the next couple of weeks, and we're more than happy to discuss agreements with Davis Homes again, but what has been entered into is not in the best interest of McFarland Farms or the surrounding communities on the south side, and we just ask that you give us that opportunity to have people here and represent McFarland Farms that truly want the best for our neighborhood. Thank you.
Eddie Hager, Far Southeast Side Neighborhood Association. When I heard the article by Channel 13 News, I knew something was up. And here's why. I've been doing this for 30 years, so I'm old school. I'm old hat. This neighborhood was blindsided. The first person that I spoke to driving into the neighborhood was like, we just wish we would have known. If you drive that neighborhood, and they'll testify, I drove the neighborhood, I got out and talked to the people. I have never seen a petitioner with such vagrant, flat-out disrespect for the community. This property's been owned since 1978 by this family. The last person that owned it for those years had passed, and now her family has it, and they want to sell it. The developer, if you remember earlier I spoke about the developer, that's our enemy. They found a weak spot. They've got 3 heirs that want to divide, that don't want to keep it, they want to sell it. And now I'll give you the biggest bang for your buck, but didn't look at it from a community standpoint like their parents before, and the parents before them, and the people before them that were good stewards, which is what I mentioned to earlier, about being a good steward of the land. They so blatantly violated this. Over 60% of the residents that are impacted by this are Burmese. Did they send out a bilingual? No notice. We're all neighbors here, right? Don't you consider me a neighbor? You consider me a neighbor? So if something was happening in my neighborhood, I'd want to know about it. I would respect you and let you know about it. That's why we need to have this hearing. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Alexander, and I actually live in the neighborhood. I live at 4323 Tarragon Drive. My home backs up to this plot of land that they want to build on. On the own government website, it shows this land as environmentally sensitive area. Every time it rains, it is a swampland behind my house. And I just don't see how they can build on that, and it's going to be anything good. And plus, they're wanting to build the houses so close together, and I just saw something on the, like, maybe 10 feet a yard between them. And I saw something on the news, like a house caught on fire, and because it's so close to other houses, that like 5 houses caught on fire. And I just keep thinking, that's what's gonna happen here when you have a cracker box house right on top of each other. So the only thing I wanna say is, once that forest is gone, it's gone. We can't bring it back. The north side, all these other places get all this, parks, everything else. South side doesn't get anything. And like I said, this 164, I was really, hoping for that because it was given some money to buy some land to maybe make a park because, like I said, once it's gone, it's gone. We can't bring that back. And so I really hope you consider that. And, green space is green space, and it's a good space, and that's what God intended for this, for us to have green space and to have nature to enjoy, not just more houses. Thank you.
Good evening again, Mr. President and Council. Mary Bookwalter from the east side, but I just wanted to echo what has been said here today. Because of not being able to fund a purchase of a forest when it comes up, this is what happens time after time. Isn't it boring? And Councilor Dilk, I want to thank you for investigating this issue. I wrote you a little brief something today, and it does echo what the economist Michael Hicks, that great old curmudgeon from Ball State, has addressed before over and over. There is not a housing shortage. The units that they talk about in real estate are units that real estate people want to deal in. There's a lot of homes in Indianapolis, and I'm proud to say my son refurbishes these and does not always sell them, but rents them in a reasonable price. There are plenty of home stock in Indianapolis. Davis Homes, a lovely company. In fact, one of his classmates at Park Tudor is Chip Davis. So we know these nice folks, but they build cheesy stuff. And he buys Justice Homes built in the 30s and 40s, which are still standing, and if the foundations are good, are still representative of a better time of construction. And this is destructive. It's not needed. What we need are wetlands, nature, creatures. This is what's good for people. We've got plenty of housing. It's a matter of how do we allocate it and what do we support in it. So thank you. And Councilor Dilk, I know your priorities. I'm sure that the nice folks from Davis speak with you, but I think that it's not a mission to make them well off or anyone else in development right now, because this is a history of America and the Midwest. So thank you, and in our own city as well. So thank you for your attention. Please think about what we can preserve, and over what we fail to preserve. So please, let's do the right thing here. Thank you.
My name is Matt Arendt. I'm a school teacher in Leroy Robinson's district on District 1 on the far north side. I want to echo what the other gentleman said. I'm an English as a second language teacher, and if this proposal, so the proposal is why should it even have a public hearing? If the majority of the residents are Burmese, and you didn't communicate to them in a Burmese language notice, and they're not aware, then you have one of your stakeholders who is not present in the room while the decisions are being made. So that is a language issue, that is an equity issue. Now, to speak to the other half, I grew up on the north side. I would encourage the council to look at American Village by 54th and Keystone. Some people might not be old enough to remember, that was also built on a wetland, and it kept collapsing, and they had to rebuild again, So something that looks good on paper at first might end up costing you more money in the long run. But more to the point, if the Burmese community is not here, they are not being represented, and that is not democratic. Thank you.
So is there anyone else with an interest in speaking to proposal number 170? right, very good.
I'm Jeff Stan. I used to be the executive director of Indiana Forest Alliance, and as you all know, we did a study of the forest canopy remaining in Indianapolis and completed that 3 years ago and modeled the value of that canopy. And the woods down there was all rated as it was good, better than good, and great. And all of that was rated better than good because of the size and the wetland component. And I want to point out that the Marion County Soil and Water Conservation District produced, information on the value of wetlands in terms of the amount of water they hold. And it's pretty well known that forested wetlands are the zenith of biomes that hold water. And in fact, they're saying 250 acres of wetland in Indianapolis holds about the same amount of water as the entire $2 billion Big Dig that the city is investing in. So it's just important to think very carefully about taking any more wetlands out of the picture, particularly forested wetlands. The last thing I'd say is that with regard to the point about the north versus the south, in that study we did of forests, it was pointing out areas that the Trust for Public Lands ranked the Indianapolis Park System as last in the nation of the top 100 cities, in part because it was more than 2/3 of the city's population lived more than a 10-minute walk from a protected park or green space, and they focused on the south side, said most of the deficit is down on the south side where the public just lacks protected forest or green space. And so if you want to improve the park system and the green space of the city, you really need to invest dollars in providing that green space on the south side, and this forest would be one of the best spots for that if you could give it. Thank you for the time.
Is there anyone else with an interest in proposal number 170? And as to why we should have a public hearing? Okay. So having heard from the dissenting remonstrators, there is a motion on the floor to move proposal 170, 2025 forward. Let me finish my statement here, Mr. Bain, so that we're all on the same page. Having heard from dissenting remonstrators, there is a motion on the floor to move proposal 170 forward without the full public hearing. A yes vote means there will be no public hearing, and we will vote on the rezoning petition as modified by the submitted commitments. A no vote means that we will proceed with the public hearing. Councilors, comments? Councilor Bain.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to recuse myself from the vote on this rezoning matter where Davis Homes is the petitioner. I am currently under contract with Davis Homes for the construction of my personal residence. I began discussions with them back in February, well before this proposal came before the council. In the interest of transparency and to avoid any appearance of conflict of interest, I will abstain from both discussion and votes on this matter.
Very good. All right. So again, a yes vote means there will be no public hearing, and we will vote on the rezoning petition as modified by the submitted commitments. And a no vote means that we will proceed with the public hearing. If it is a no vote, we shall proceed with rezoning hearing. So, councilors? Yes. Let us make sure that we are on the same page. Let us green shall be a yes vote, and red shall be a no vote. Again, a yes vote means there will be no public hearing, green, and we will vote on the rezoning petition as modified. A no vote, red, means that we will proceed with the public hearing. All right, so there are 25 nays, which means that we will have a 23 nays, 1 abstention. We will proceed with the public hearing.